What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today, and welcome to Iron Man, but not really Iron Man. The track is called Blacksmith, and it is created by Totes Goats, and it's his second track release, actually. His original track was called Lumberjack, which I don't think I ever had the pleasure of playing. However, this track right here is based on the 2017 layout of Iron Man. Now, in the 2017 season, I was still on my MX Simulator grind, and I had the luxury of playing this track layout back then. And I have to say, in terms of just all of the layouts of Iron Man over the years, this has got to be one of my favourites. Just being able to hit the Godzilla jump back down, and turn around and hit another triple step up again. I really enjoyed. I'm not a big fan these days where they come down the hill and they've got the weird little like left, right, turn, hit the tabletop, and then a drop down again. I find it all very one-lined. But I found that having this corner at the bottom of the hill to be able to turn around and launch back up again to be very enjoyable. This triple here, I'm not sure if it's just in the free roam camera, but actually looks really small, like quite easy to do. I've seen a lot of positive comments. Also love the Godzilla there as well. I've seen a lot of positive comments on MXB mods about this, and I know that this is probably a late video to show it off, but I was a little bit spoiled for choice. There's been so many tracks uploaded recently, and a few of you guys recommended that I try it out as well. So without further ado, you know what I always say, let's spin some laps. For all of you passionate gamers, you can now get 20% off all G Fuel products worldwide by using code LINS at checkout. And for any of you motorheads looking for some new drip or apparel, use code MXPR_LINS15 fxrracing.eu to get 15% off. All links and codes are in the description down below. Enjoy the video and drop a cheeky little like and subscribe. So I'm going to be rocking the old Husky today. This is just a skin that was on MXB mods that I've had downloaded for ages, to be honest. I haven't created a whiteout version of the Husky yet, even though it kind of is white anyway. But reason being, if none of you stopped by on Friday's live stream, which was at Nashville Supercross, I was going into the race basically saying that I was going to ride the Fantic regardless, no matter what. I had a setup on the Fantic that felt pretty good. The only downside was I didn't really know how to get out of the gate well on it at all yet. But we done, I think, 99% of the practice on the Fantic, just learning the track. And there was one line, which I hate when this happens, but there was one line, like a big quad at the end of the first rhythm section, that you didn't need to be able to set a fast quali lap, but it was helpful, you know, it would help you. It would gain you a couple of extra attempts that you needed to run a good lap. And I just couldn't, for the life of me, get it on the Fantic at all. And so at the very last minute, just as the qualifying servers were going up, I hopped onto the Husky again, old reliable, exactly the same like setup as I've made videos on in the past for the Husky, the Soupy setup, and within 3 laps, I greased the jump. So I rode the Husky for the race. I qualified in P2. Obviously, take all these results with a pinch of salt, by the way, because Cam, Hakon, and Steiner weren't racing. I'm not sure what Hakon was doing. Cam's semi-retired right now because he's had some bad races and a bit annoyed at the game. And then Steiner was doing 250s. So in terms of like the top level competition that I had to try and compete against and beat, it was really only like Tyler, Dylan, Jake, and Aiden that I could see beating me at any given day on those machines, on that sort of track. I qualified second, just behind Tyler, although Tyler was almost a second quicker than everyone else. Absolutely unreal qualifying speed, especially for only having the track for that short amount of time. That's what I always find impressive, is how quickly the EU boys can kind of learn and adapt to a track. And then after that, it was the heat races, and I got first in my heat. It wasn't a pretty heat win at all. It was actually closer than I would like. Jake was pretty close to me the entire race. And lappers, man, it was a bad night for lappers. I need to not hate on them too much, because I'm aware that a lot of people that were getting lapped weren't used to racing in pros, I don't think. It was an east-west showdown, or east-west shootout, whichever one you want to refer to it as. So what that meant is all of the 250 riders that usually go up to the 450 class when the opposite coast is on, none of that happened this time. So it was purely 450 riders, and all of the 250s were racing each other. So anybody that doesn't usually make it into 450s then had a much better chance. So I think there was just some new guys on the track, and obviously if you're not used to moving out of the way for the leaders, it's probably a little bit difficult to also focus on your lines whilst moving, whilst paying attention to any battles you might be in. So I need to let them off a little bit, but there was a few very sketchy moments with lappers. But yeah, we made it work. I barely got the heat race win, and then I think I sat there doing about 15 or 20 practice starts, and then the main event came round and got the whole shot, led flag to flag, and we got a dubski, won by 30-something seconds. And it just honestly goes to show how important the starts are in Supercross at the moment. I think there's a good, well, maybe not last week, but any other week prior to that, it's a good 5 or 6 people maybe that if they get the whole shot, they can probably win. So yeah, start's very, very important. I couldn't tell you really what I'd done too much different. It was just trying to find the correct leaning points when you're on the start gate. So like my gearing and setup was all the same as it always has been, but what I'd done, if I come to a stop right here, I can show you. So I used the very, very bottom of my screen as a reference, and I'll put it in whatever gear, so I think third gear was one for me. And then you do a few practice starts and you lean forwards different amounts. And I used the bottom of my screen to line up different parts of the bike. So let's say I wanted to line up the screen with the bottom of the gas cap. I'd go to about there. If I want to line up with the bottom of the bar pad, I'd line it up there. And you can just use, you know, various different reference points to try and get some consistency out of the starts. And I mean, it worked. Got the whole shot. And yeah, led flag to flag, and it was a very straightforward race. I think I must have something about that sort of layout of track, because anyone with a keen eye could tell that the Nashville track layout and the Indianapolis track layout were 99% similar to each other. And I've won both of those, but also got very, very good starts at both of those. And I have noticed, so that was my third like overall win of the year. I'm pretty sure I've whole shotted every race that I've won, which is a bad sign. That means I haven't got much good like comeback ability. I can't fight my way through the pack apparently. But you know, when the pace is as high as it is at the moment, it's very, very difficult to really separate people. I mean, even if you're half a second a lap on Supercross is a lot, but if you lose 20 seconds on lap 1 from having a bad start, you're going to need to run 40 laps at half a second a lap to gain on the lead. And that's if you didn't get in any more carnage or any other bikes or trying to pass people losing time. So you can see why they're so important. So sometimes you just have to be lucky in Supercross. You really, really do. But I felt good the whole night. Going into it, I said I'll probably end up podiuming, and we did, and it went very, very well. So I need to ask you guys, well, I say ask, I'm telling you guys, anytime I try switching bike, more so in Supercross than anything else, moan at me. Tell me to get back on the Husky, because every time I leave and try to do something different, it doesn't go well, and then I go back to the Husky and it goes well again. Just make me stick to the Husky, please. Like, she's been my girl since back in 2022. I just need to stick with it at this point and just get used to it and ride it. What I am trying to do in bits here and there whenever I hop on the game in the evening, just as some casual gaming time, is I'm trying to find something that works on the Husky outdoors, because that's where things are a little bit different. So the Austrian bikes for me, they're very fast, don't get me wrong, but they're also very stiff. That doesn't matter in Supercross, because, you know, stiff suspension in Supercross is kind of what you want, unless it's too stiff to the point you can't even get through whoops. But in outdoors, it really seems to unsettle the bike a lot when the suspension's too stiff. So the KTM and the Husky, I tend to have a little bit of trouble with. I've not given the gas enough time and effort really to know how it rides or say if I like it or don't like it. But I would like to use the same bike all the time, just to get a level of, I guess, comfortability and familiarity and know what the bike's going to do in certain situations. So I need to try and find something on the Husky that feels good outdoors. And obviously I appreciate when people try and send me setups. So what you have to remember a lot of the time is, based on how fast you are at the game, different setups will work differently for you. So people that are going like top level pro times will need a different suspension compared to people that are a bit slower, because you're hitting bumps and ruts and jumps at different speeds, so the bike will react differently. So while I do appreciate people sliding in my DMs for setups, it's fine. I'll find my way eventually and we'll try and make something good out of it. But I'm enjoying the Husky. I feel bad for leaving her all the time. She always does a good job when I come back. So maybe I just need to finally stick around and be that good husband that I know I should be. But yeah, there's enough waffling about the past. The wins don't come too frequently for me anymore, so it's nice to be able to talk about them as and when they happened. We've got no GPs now for about a month, so no real outdoor stuff. So lots of time to be doing some outdoors testing on the Husky. But yeah, we've got a few Supercross rounds coming up. I will be missing one more round before the end of the season, just from moving. I know I've said it a few times, but I'm also aware that people don't watch every single video of mine, so you might have missed that. I'm moving at the very, very start of next month, so there might be a little bit of a period of 2-3 days without a video, or a few days without streaming, etc. So just bear that in mind. I'm going to be a very, very, very busy boy for like a week or so. It won't take much longer than that to get everything all finalised and sorted out. But yeah, I'm excited. I've got a bit of rejuvenation back in me again for racing now that I've had a good one. I was really, really falling out of love with it, having like bad race after bad race, especially the GP of Arnhem, for example, where I usually consider myself a bit of a sand specialist, and I think I only got like a 6th and a 5th in the moto results, which for me I feel like is really poor. But yeah, we'll try and work on it. We'll try and improve things and just hopefully get better and better. One thing that you should all be excited about is that they are finally now looking to start working on the AMA national tracks. So I think it's JV, Hell Machine, and Stone Rider are all kind of doing their own bits to bring the tracks to us for the AMA rounds this year, which I'm very excited for. Obviously, people know that I wasn't the biggest fan of last year's outdoors tracks. Let's not say they're bad tracks at all, because when you hop into them just with some friends casually or in single player, I think they're really, really good. But for whatever reason, from a racing standpoint and how the road formed, etc., a lot of them ended up being very, very one-line dominant. So even if you were faster than someone and you tried getting out of the race line to make a pass, a lot of the time it would just be impossible. So you kind of have to get a really, really good start and hold on from there, or follow the leader until someone crashes, which you don't really want to do. You want to be able to have the ability to make moves if you are faster than someone in front of you. So I'm hopeful. I really am hopeful this year to see how things go. And yeah, if I have a good year, rest of the year this year, I'll probably race again next year. And I think as soon as I stop having the ability to win races is when I might hang up the old controller and go into more of like a commentary role, where I live stream the races from a commentating, broadcasting standpoint rather than, you know, like a racing POV. But we'll see. That's a long way away, to be fair. We've got lots of time until then. Also, I've realised that I've not actually spoken about the track yet. We are literally almost 10 minutes deep into this recording so far, and I don't think I've said one thing about the track. So I said in the intro, it's equivalent to the 2017 layout of Ironman. One of my favourite layouts again, which I also said. And 450 does seem to be a little bit overkill. I'm able to scrub everything. The track is very large. I will say that in terms of scaling, it is big. So I think it caters very nicely to beginners / intermediate levels. That's not to say pros can't have a good time around here, but it's a little bit on the simple side. Texture-wise, environment-wise, and given the general atmosphere of Ironman, I think it looks very, very good. You know, like the trees are nice and pretty, everything's nice and bright. There's plenty of line choices in these corners. You know, you can pick any one of these routes and rail the corner as fast as you like. Some bits like this, for example, I think that inside is going to be very, very OP. I don't see why you'd take the outside at all. But it's nice. It's got a good flow to it. I would love to use tracks like this for like elimination races, for example, but because it's such a long track, we're looking just over 2-minute long lap times. It ends up being almost like 4.5-minute long eliminations at a time, because the start is where the start is and the finish is where the finish, and that's nothing that Totes McGoats could do about it. You know, he's replicating a track at the end of the day. You can't go changing stuff just for elimination races. But I think he's done a really, really good job at just getting the whole general layout down, and for a second track, it's really, really impressive stuff. And I'm loving seeing these people getting passionate about track building and bringing us new content all the time. And I'll be honest, whenever I see questions like why isn't MX Bikes on console or this, that and the other, and it's just like, how long would its lifespan be if we just had the stock Boboso bikes and tracks in-game and that was it, and that's all we could play every single day? Like, we couldn't mod stuff, which I don't think you can on console unless you end up releasing like paid or free DLC. I'm not sure how that whole process would work. I'd love it to be on console. It would help very much for me and the other YouTube boys for getting all of those juicy views and getting the ad revenue from the console gamers coming to watch us. Yeah, but for now, I think it's just going to be PC only, unfortunately. It is what it is. And the only reason I bring that whole topic up is where I've been posting on TikTok and Instagram more and more frequently recently. It's a question that I get a lot of the time. It's just like, how do you get this on Xbox? How do you get this on PS4? Is this game on mobile? What is the game name? Is it free? So on and so forth. It's they're questions that you get very, very often. And I'd love it to happen someday. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be the case. I really, really don't, which is a big old shame. But I want to give Mr. McGoats a big old round of applause here, because I generally, obviously, I go on about it again and again and again, how I see behind the curtain, I see what it takes to build tracks like this, and more of you are starting to get into the whole track building scene now and experimenting, and you know the time and effort that goes into these sorts of things. And I think there's a special type of person that you have to have a knack for it. You have to be genuinely talented anyway, just to make good tracks to begin with. And he seems to have it. You know, I didn't play Lumberjack, so I can't comment on that. But for a second track, this is really, really good stuff. And it does definitely give like public lobby vibes. I can see a good 80% plus of the community really enjoying a track like this. For me, it's good to hop on for maybe 10-20 minutes or so and record a video for. In terms of replayability, just because of the level I'm at and I prefer having more difficult tracks and challenging tracks in game to play. It's not something I would play very, very regularly, but it definitely has its place in the community still, and I definitely encourage Mr. McGoats to keep creating some good content. And I'm sure there's people out there that probably live quite close to Ironman or have had the luxury of riding it or pleasure of riding it in real life, and to have replica tracks like this in game for us is really, really nice. There's a very, very old Ironman replica back, I think that might have been a TFC track as well, to be fair, like way, way back in the day, which is actually really, really fun. I remember Beta 16 era on like the KX250 when that was the OP bike, munching around that track. And I actually have a video on my channel. I don't know if I commentated for it or not, but just like POV video, which was like one of the most viewed videos on my channel. It's like 80,000 views from way back in the day. So yeah, there is a good one in the game already, but to have very specific track layouts, I also believe is really, really cool. So I'm a big fan of this. I think he should keep bringing more tracks our way, but then of course I will be a little bit biased in saying that because it makes my life and job a hell of a lot easier. But I feel like most of you have played this track by now, so if you have, what are your thoughts down below? Do you think he's done a good job in replicating this? Do you have any like feedback to give to him? Because I think visually, really, really nice and pretty. Like, track rides well. It's just, the scaling is big, but I don't know if he's gone for that intentionally to make it more user friendly. But yeah, big fan. So another track creator that I've just tried for the first time that I enjoy their track. So well done, sir. Give yourself a round of applause and a pat on the back. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Sorry for waffling. I feel like I haven't stopped talking in like 15 minutes or so, but I've just had a lot to say. I'm very, very sorry. If you enjoyed, please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I would be very much appreciative of that. It always helps the channel grow and pushing it out to more and more people. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you guys are up to, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.
I'm sacrificing my life, I'm sacrificing my mind, I'm sacrificing my sanity, but most importantly, I'm sacrificing my time. Boy, I feel fine, I feel like I am a king. Honestly, I can't complain. Even with faith that's the size of a grain of some salt, I will still move a mountain and do what I want.